Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel Amok for All. Question today is, should you upgrade your existing C9 or C10 TV to the new C1 TV? And the answer is...
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Actually, the more interesting question is, should you upgrade your C9 or C10 to the new G1? Because then the answer will be a little bit different. So I would say we start with looking a little bit closer on the difference between, or the main difference between the C1 and G1. And then probably you will understand why the C1 is no option at all for existing C9 or CX users. So I would say,
let's rock.
Okay, but what is now the main difference between C1 and G1? And it is the panel. The panel in the G1 is brand new, and we're really talking about a brand new panel. On the C1 there's the same panel built in as on the C10 or C9, so no upgrade at all. On the G1 on the other hand, LG made up a complete new panel, complete from the scratch, absolutely brand new in terms of wavelength from the primary colors, which results in much better color accuracy and of course much higher peak brightness. How much higher? Some people claiming 20%, other people claiming up to 30%. I have no idea at the moment. But if we're talking about 20% higher peak brightness, that's actually a lot. To be very honest, that's nice, and this is probably what I'm missing here on the TV. Don't get me wrong, it is great to watch HDR, but sometimes the difference between very bright objects and very dark objects is not enough. Sometimes, okay? So 20% more peak brightness would be absolutely great, but you just get this on the new G1, not on the C1. So are there any other differences or upgrades from the C1 to the G1? No, that's it, a newer panel, but this is actually a very big step in my opinion. We have of course a couple of new features on the C1 over the C10 or C9, and one of these new features for us gamers is actually the game center. I call it like this, game center, where you have a nice little menu and you have all your information what you need in terms of playing games. So let's talk about this game center, because I'm not perfectly fine with all these features, because there are a couple of features in this game center which I would probably never use. And one of this is game genre settings, you know, where you can actually change between standard FPS, RTS or RPG settings, because all what this setting or what those presets are doing is changing contrast and brightness on your TV, which I'm not a big fan of, because I am calibrating my TV and then I like to have the most accurate picture, okay, closer to the standard. So with those presets, you just changing your whole calibration to worse or better. It depends, of course. It depends on what you like to watch, or what you like to see. But if you use presets like this, then to be very honest, there's no point for me to calibrate a TV, because at the end you will end up with wrong gamma, probably not with a wrong color from the white point or color saturation or on this point, but it will be not correct in terms of gamma and brightness and contrast. And this is for me a big no-go. I mean, I can understand that maybe some people like to have this feature, because especially in multiplayer games, when you play maybe a first-person shooter and you like to see a little bit more in the darker areas, yes, it can be helpful to increase the brightness a little bit. But to be very honest, you can also do this maybe in-game settings, because in almost every game you have a slider for the brightness, and in most of the cases you can also of course increase your brightness from the TV. So for me at the moment, I don't understand those settings, to be very honest. It's just of course like a quick access. You can very quickly change the presets. Of course this is maybe a advantage, but I will probably never use those settings or those presets, because I like to see the picture as it should be, you know, as closest to the standard. Another new feature what we have on the 2021 models is the blue light filter. And to be very honest, I think it is the first time that this filter or this picture setting or mode or whatever you call it is used on a TV. So correct me if I'm wrong. I have seen those blue light filters plenty times on PC monitors, but so far never on a OLED or on a TV. And again, it is probably, or maybe for some people, a very helpful feature, especially, and I'm not even talking about gamers at the moment, I'm really talking about people that are using maybe their TV as a PC monitor because they have to work from home and whatever, you never know. If you use a TV or monitor for hours and hours and days, it will be maybe a helpful feature. But for me, again, when I'm just looking at me, I will never use it because I'm just a casual gamer. My TV runs just in the background to entertain you. And in most of the time, I don't even have time to play on the TV. So unfortunately, also a feature what I would never use. Okay, so let's talk about a feature I'm really looking forward to test. In terms of input lag, you have now the option between standard and boost mode, whatever boost mode means, but I have seen on a YouTube video already that the input lag will decrease from 13 milliseconds to 9.5 milliseconds in 4K 60. Unfortunately, I don't have any measurements or any values for 1440p 120 Hz and also 4K 120 Hz. But we will see those numbers soon, I'm very sure about this. So, but we need to consider that when we engaging or when we enabling boost mode, this can come with a downside as well in terms of picture quality. Maybe we have a slightly worse motion clearness or whatever, because as always, when we have a smaller or a lower input lag, then this means we have also less picture processing. Okay, so there must be happening something in the background which turns off a couple of features. That's why you have a much lower input lag. But again, we need to see this in real life because it can be that you never noticed it, or it can be that you can clearly see it. Okay. So far, I have no idea, but this is one of the most feature I'm looking forward to. Okay, and that's it already with the new gaming feature for the 2021 models. And don't get me wrong, of course we have VRR, cheesing, freezing, HDR, Dolby Vision and so on, but those are actually no gaming features. But we have of course the new fine-tune area for VRR black level rays. But this is, or those are not new features, okay? You have this already on the C9 and C10 already. So really I was talking about new feature, which is the game genre settings, blue light filter and the input lag, and the rest, to be very honest, is exactly the same as on the older models. So not much difference in my opinion when it comes just to this gaming feature. And again, of course, it's nice to have a nice overlay or overview what is activated, but I'm not sure how many times you will use this. Really, the only difference or what I'm looking for is really the decreased or better input lag for the newer models. But yeah, that's it in my opinion, really, for the new game features. Okay, before we're talking about HDR, let's take a step back and let's talk about VRR black level flickering issue, whatever you call this, okay? So the fine-tune option, what you have on your C9 and C10 TV, everybody in the world except Australia. Still no update here, so I can't tell you if this option is really something to use. But so far, what I have seen, it is not an option for me at all, because it will change the near gamma black level as well, and it's not getting rid of all those flickering. But anyway, as soon there's an update for my TV, I will do a video about this. I will test it and you can watch it, of course. But so some people claiming that with the C1 and the G1 there will be no VRR flickering or black level issue at all anymore. But to be very honest, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And this is because it's not, how should I say, it's not a hardware fault. In my opinion, this is just how the hardware, how a panel is working. And it is not just an issue with an OLED panel, it is also an issue with an LCD VA panel, because I have a gaming monitor VA panel, and it is happening also on this screen, okay? During loading screen or if you pause a game, extremely flickering, but during gameplay I can't see can't see any flickering, okay? The same for my OLED TV. So this is just how a panel is working and or how VRR and a panel is working, because if you disable VRR, there's no issue at all. So don't expect too much from the newer panels. Maybe there is a slightly improvement in terms of this, but they can't get rid of this because it's not an issue, it's not a hardware fault. It's how the panel is working, and maybe they can make it a little bit better because they're tuning all these features and how it works, but again, they can't get rid of it. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about HDR and the new features in terms of HDR. And as far as I know, there is nothing. So we're really talking about the same feature like last year HDR, no HDR plus, Dolby Vision of course, and that's it. So, but don't get me wrong, that's enough. I had never had any problems to watch HDR on this TV, so you don't need anything else. I mean, HDR 10 plus will be, or HDR 10, I think it's the right term, will be great, but to be very honest, more and more companies or movies or whatever using Dolby Vision, which is maybe slightly better than HDR 10. Anyway, not an expert in this, but you know, again, you will not miss anything. The most important thing actually is the brightness difference between C1 or C10 and C9 and the G1 panel, because in terms of HDR. So some people claiming, or some websites saying, claiming the new panel will be 20% brighter, others saying up to 30% higher, and this will be great. I mean, if we see a 20% higher peak brightness compared to the C10, this is great, because what I'm missing actually sometimes is not the maximum brightness. So I think, let's say 750 candela on the C10, it's really bright. But the problem is because the mastering is in a much higher brightness, and we're talking about up to 10,000 nits for, I think, Dolby Vision and 4,000 nits for HDR, or it was other way around, correct me if I'm wrong. So the problem is to get this mastering into the container from the capabilities from the TV, and this results sometimes in a very dark picture, because the TV likes to show, of course, the bright objects, and because of the capabilities from the TV, it is also very dark to have the big contrast between dark and bright to make this HDR punchy. Okay, I hope you understand what I mean. And if they increasing the maximum brightness, you have more room actually to use this HDR. What also means you have more room in the darker areas, which means the movie or the game is not as dark as it was before. Okay, so this is the most important thing in my opinion. It is not about the maximum peak brightness from the brightest object, because I'm happy with this TV from the brightness, because at some point it's getting too bright in my opinion. Okay, so we're talking about, let's say 750 candela already. Not sure, I never watched a TV with 1000 candela, I never saw a TV with 1500 candela, but I know that at some point I don't like to watch it anymore, because you're also not going out there and staring into the sun and see, oh, that's bright, that's nice. It's just too much at some point, and we will see actually when we reach this point, because the TVs will increase, we get better in terms of brightness, of course. But again, I think at some point we should stop it and should work actually on maybe to fine-tune the existing brightness, maximum brightness on TVs, or maybe think about changing the mastering, you know what I mean, to adjust this on the TVs. But anyway, this is the most important update in my opinion, that the G1 has a much brighter display compared to the C1 or also C9 and C10. Okay, so time for a summary. Should you upgrade your C9 or C10 TV to a C1 TV? And I answered this already in the very beginning. No, there's no point. I will not update. I have a C10 65-inch TV. I will not update to a C1 TV, because in my opinion, there is no advantage at all. The only improvement what I can see so far is maybe the new lower input lag, but again, we have to wait for proper testing if there's a disadvantage in terms of the picture quality. All the other things like the game genre settings have no value at all for me, and also the blue light filter, no value for me at all. input lag again, maybe, not sure about this, but of course this is just my own opinion. There is no point for me to go from a C10 or even a C9. If I would have a C9, there's no point to go to a C1, very honest. When we're talking about the G1, that's a complete different story. And why it is a different story? Because of the new panel from the G1. Up to 20% more brightness in peak brightness, or other people claiming up to 30%, but to be very honest, I can't believe 30%. 20%, yeah, sounds realistic to me. This would be great because I'm enjoying playing HDR games on this TV like crazy at the moment. Because if you have a very good implementation, HDR implementation on a game, you don't want to go back to SDR. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, I have seen very bad HDR implementation as well, like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Of course, SDR looks much better, but if you have a game which have very great HDR on a console like Halo, which I discovered just recently, and it's very, very sad that on PC there's no HDR support at all for this game, really crazy. But again, it is so much better to play this game in HDR, and this is what I'm looking forward on the new TV, on the new G1. So I'm going to upgrade this one to the G1. Not sure when, not immediately, because I will wait a little bit. I need to, need to save some money. Anyway, I will update this C1 to the G1, and I will keep this one, of course, because I need to do, I like to do many comparison videos between the G1 and the C1. Again, not sure when, because so far it's not even released here in Australia. We don't have official prices at all. The only thing what I know is that LG actually decreased all the prices for their 2021 launch compared to the 2020 launch, which is great. That means the TVs are cheaper than before, but still, of course, expensive, because I'm still thinking we're talking about $4,000 or maybe a little bit more for the 65-inch version, and I would go for the 65-inch version again. So that's my plan to do, or that's my plan, what I like to do in terms of the new lineup from the LG OLED TVs. And I really like to know your opinion, of course, or your plans. So put your comments in the comment section, which is great. Put your thoughts and your opinion in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this video, about the new lineup, about maybe a different TV, because I'm really at the moment just looking on LG OLEDs, because I think they have the best features and the most, advanced OLED TVs in my opinion. So that's why I'm looking at these models, and I really don't bother about anything else at the moment. But put your thoughts in the comment section. I would much appreciate it. Okay, so that's enough for this video. I say thank you very much for watching me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.